The best advice anyone ever gave me was 2 words. You can't. And you know what my response was? 2 words. Watch me.
All right, welcome back to episode 9, Supporting a Bodybuilding Family. Hello, Philip.
Hello, Danielle.
And for those who are watching, you can see that we have a special guest here. So I'm going to give you a little intro to what this episode is going to be all about and who we have sitting here to my left. So it's about supporting a bodybuilding family and all the background stuff that you don't see through bodybuilding prep and all the important people that help build up and make the bodybuilding experience come to fruition.
Kind of a behind the scenes look at what's really involved.
So sitting here to my left is my mom, Barbara Crosson.
Hello, everyone.
Phil's wife, and she has been our backbone to the bodybuilding world and really the person who gets us to the stage.
We have Barbara along today because we wanted to kind of take her on our journey and have her talk to you a little bit about what it's been like as a mom and wife supporting competitors, the challenges, the ups, the downs, what it's like living with bodybuilders in the house, the good, the bad, the chicken and the broccoli, as we say here at the house, the hanger moods, the mood swings, the love and support behind it all, kind of the unsung heroes. The athletes themselves are the ones that get out on stage. They're the ones that get all the publicity. They're the ones that get all the recognition. Unfortunately, they don't do all of the work. A lot of times there's help behind the scenes, and that's what we're here to talk about today, what goes on and how much is really involved that doesn't get seen out front. Danielle, you want to share some of your thoughts? I know you've played both roles too, because you've been a big help to me along the way.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely more so enjoy being a part of it and being on the stage as a side to being the support role, because that can be challenging. I'm sure Mom will get into that a little bit more.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be possible without her. I mean, even not living with you guys and being on my own, she would run things over. She'd run to the store for me, pick up things while she's out, offer to cook them and bring them to my apartment. Running back and forth show day to get me things I need. But I know it's definitely challenging when you have 2 people you're helping as opposed to the first year when we just had Dad and we were both kind of helping him the best we could.
I wanted to just set the backstory a little bit. This journey started for me first back in 2019, going into 2020, the COVID year. Fitter and I were working together at RDA Fitness, and we were discussing goals, dreams, everything else. And I explained to him one of the things I always wanted to accomplish was attempting a bodybuilding show, but never really knew how to get there. And I'll never forget Rich's words. He said, "If you give me 1 year, do everything I tell you, listen and follow along, we'll get you there." And that's kind of when the journey began. And I think, Barbara, you would probably say that's when you realized that it was going to be a little more than a hobby at that point.
Yeah, definitely. Once Rich got involved, Rich Fitter, yeah.
Rich really laid out everything and got us on track. And I don't think you really knew at that point how much work it was going to be.
No, I had no idea.
You just thought you were going to help and support and
do a little food shop and do a little meal prep, but I had no idea what was involved.
That first year was a challenge because of COVID. Was a lot of working out. We'll call it really a prep year. And that's when we started to transition from kind of casual training to more of a full prep going into 2021 when we knew we were going to be ready to compete. And I think that's when, Barbara, you would probably say the same, that you noticed the routines change.
Yes.
Started a regular gym routine, started the macronutrient nutrition plan that was pretty regulated, and that really became a primary focus for me, which was where you played a big part. Talk a little bit about, I guess, one of the biggest challenges when you would go to the store was learning to read
labels, understanding nutrition, understanding the macronutrients, really having to spend a lot of time grocery shopping and understanding what it meant, what the nutrition labels meant, and how it worked.
And also the food scale.
And the food scale, that used to drive me crazy, to be honest with you.
I remember
weighing all the food, having it to be exactly what it's supposed to be, ounces or, mostly ounces, how that worked and having it to be right on key on the scale.
I mean, at that point, I was not into the whole bodybuilding thing yet, but I remember many nights, mom in the kitchen, you at the table, yelling at each other, what brand is this? And I don't know, I threw it out.
Yeah,
I need the label. I have to have the label, and you threw the label away.
Trying to get everything together for your meal app so that you can track your macronutrients, because it is important. And I remember one of the hardest things to help get you to understand is a lot of times you liked preparing meals together, whether it be like a crock pot meal or a lot of your things were more casserole based because it was easier for you working and together as opposed to spending all the time preparing separate things. And then I would start to get upset because I'd be saying to mom, how do you measure this? I can't weigh this out if the chicken's mixed with the corn and the mashed potatoes or whatever else was in the meal.
Well, I'm a lifetime member of Weight Watchers, so Weight Watchers was a totally different experience, nutrition-wise, than macronutrients.
And that was a big part of the struggle because you kept trying to convince me that, this was healthy, and they were talking about this at Weight Watchers, and you're not going to gain weight, but you weren't following the importance of the breakdown of the macronutrients at that point. So you were more focused on weight loss, and I was focused on the macronutrients.
Well, and Weight Watchers is very different in the sense of a lot of things are 0 points or 1 point, and she had that scale, down with, this is 0 points, this is 1 point, I could have this, that, this is like 5 points. Where with us, it's very, very different of not, well, maybe it's a cup, maybe it was a cup and a half, I don't really know.
I remember many nights going, I don't give a damn how many points it is, how much protein is in this, how many ounces is this? And mom would be like, I don't know, it's just 2 points. You could have, 5 cups, it's 2 points, which translated into nothing for me. So those were some of the early challenges when you bring somebody in that is learning the process. I still wasn't well versed in it. Rich was walking me through it, and those were some of the early challenges, and it just compounded from there. The gym schedule became a challenge. We played with that for a while, whether having a family, dogs, jobs, trying to squeeze all that in and work around it. With mom being supportive, trying to get home saying, you go to the gym, I'll go home and walk the dogs, or I'll change my plan so you can go to the gym and I'll readjust my schedule. How many times did you have to do that?
Many times. Many times.
Yeah. I wanted to let mom talk a little bit about her perspective here we talked a little bit about managing meals and gym schedules, but another big one was laundry.
Yeah, we always have a lot of laundry, a lot of gym clothes that have to be washed at least sometimes 2-3 loads a day.
And I can't tell you how many times she probably said it to you. Can you wear these things more than once?
Yeah, wear them more than once. Wear them twice, at least wear them twice.
I said, we're hardcore. We sweat right through them. We're not there fooling around. We're working out. Rich has us on plans. We move, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I could wear some of my clothes again. I think the other members in the gym would be very frustrated if I did.
And let's talk a little bit about, we're talking about all the behind the scenes with meal plans and laundry and stuff. I remember, Danielle, when you were in the house for a while with the bodybuilding, even keeping the balance for the prep for both of us, because we both didn't always like the same things.
And we couldn't also have the same amount of things. Your numbers were different than mine. So I know many a nights mom would plate meals and I'd be like, this is too much, I can't have all this. Or you would be saying this isn't enough. Because she'd ask one of us what our measurements were and would do it for both, not fully knowing, especially in the beginning, we were on the same plan, our numbers were different.
Right. And how many times mom made something that she either liked or, thought was good for us, some kind of fish or something. And we're both very particular when it comes to fish. So I can't tell you how many times I came home and said, well, I don't really eat that. Mom's like, great, then you're eating peanut butter and jelly tonight because I made fish.
Or I ate a little more at work than I intended on, and then my numbers were off, and she planned for whatever we told her in the morning. And I don't think mom realized how quickly the numbers can change in a span of 8 to 10 hours.
No, I had no idea.
So let's talk for a minute about, you were saying weighing on the scale and macronutrients and stuff. How many times did you hear her say, I'd say, how many ounces of chicken is this? Or how many ounces of broccoli? And she'd say,
it's about.
About.
It's about.
And I'd say, "Did you weigh that?" She'd say, "Well, it's about 8 ounces." And so it took quite a while to get mom in the habit of making sure that everything was weighed and measured. And my lunches now, Barbara. I mean, you could talk about how you prepare them and mark them up and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, now I realize that it has to be weighed, put in a special, container. We make sure that, right on it what the ounces are, what it is, and be a little more organized than I was in the beginning.
And same with when you talked about labels. We've kind of gotten to where when you're shopping, we have found the foods or particular brands that are most macronutrient friendly to what we need, and we try to stick with those.
Yeah.
So it's not a matter of
Yeah.
what label was this, how many grams of fat were in here, or how many grams of carbs. Once we get that system into our food app or tracking app, then we try to stick with
Stay with the same foods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's kind of shift gears a little bit, and we'll start with Dad's first season. Something that is stressful for not only the bodybuilders but also their support system is peak week going into the show.
That's a tough week.
Talk about the very first peak week. What are some of the memorable things leading up to the show that you remember being either stressful, fun, not so fun?
Not so fun. I mean, there were times where it was very rough, very difficult, trying to keep everything organized, trying to keep everything straight in your mind, the schedules, the meal prepping, what can be, what you can have, what you can't have, being very specific, types of foods that you can have. A lot of running around, a lot of just stress.
A lot of hanger arguments.
Yeah. Being angry because you're hungry and you want something, and maybe I was eating something that they couldn't have, and them getting mad because they wanted it but couldn't have it. And
how many times I'd be like totally starving at night, and I was completely out of my macros, and she'd say to me, "Well, just it's not a big deal. You can go in there and you can have a protein bar, or you can have an extra, whatever, half a cucumber or something else." And when you get to peak week, there's no messing with those numbers.
There is no extra.
Yeah.
They're when you're done, you're done. So it becomes a just hydrate and try to get your mind off of wanting food, which is a real challenge. But again, with mom belonging to Weight Watchers and trying to watch her diet as well, most times she was very cognizant of what was going on during peak week and tried not to eat once our numbers were done.
Then we were done for the night. Yeah.
Or she'd hide in her bedroom and you'd hear the snack bags.
Or there are times, in truthfulness, when you're living with a bodybuilder and you're going through these, it does get stressful. And there were many times mom would say, "Fine, then figure it out and fix the next meal yourself, and I'm done, and you're on your own.
I'm going out to coffee with my girlfriend Debbie, and I'll see you later."
Yeah, I'm not sitting here listening to you complain about not having food. So those things happen. So there were times mom was quitting on us, or at least me, and there were times I was frustrated and quitting myself. But that's just all part of the process, and you learn to work through it. The more you do it, the more you get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say, Barbara, maybe something people don't understand about living with bodybuilders?
Just how tough the schedule can be. The long hours in the gym, that's a big one, especially when I'm home with 3 dogs, and I work part-time too, so it's a little tough. But I would say just the meal prepping, understanding how to read labels, understanding macronutrients, supporting them with their journey. I mean, it can be difficult at times.
Yes.
And it can be rewarding at times, seeing once you guys get on stage and, seeing all the progress, that can be very rewarding. So you feel good about everything you've done to help and support.
But she does love the off season.
Yeah, the off season is good because I can make my Weight Watchers meals.
I do have a good question now that I'm thinking about it. So obviously Dad started this, then I got involved. What was the biggest difference? Not necessarily meals, unless that is your answer. What was the biggest difference when I started bodybuilding that you kind of found with the whole process?
I think just being a woman and competing is really just amazing. Watching the women up on the stage and seeing all their progress as well. It's very rewarding. but the difference is, well, to be honest, Danielle, you were a little more difficult to deal with when it came to the whole process. But yeah,
That's fair.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, did you enjoy the closer to the show, like the prep of like the glitter and all of like
Oh
the
well,
fun stuff like that that you didn't get to do with dad?
I've always been a dance mom. Danielle danced for 12 years, so I've always been was always involved with that. So being able to see that again, the jewelry, the glitter, the hair, the makeup, the beautiful bikinis and suits that you wore, yeah, that I found that to be very fun.
Because that's something I think that also it was a huge help, um, especially, this past season I had Steven and he was, a huge help.
He's
Back in the
learning the process.
Yeah, back in the 2024 season, he was so helpful. Um, but that was something where I feel like we got to share that experience again, where I asked you to come with me to see
Yeah,
my suit and
yeah, it was
what your
exciting.
thoughts were
Hmm.
on, what style and what jewelry and how to put the jewels and the connectors and
The woman who made the suits, I was very impressed when we went to her house and her whole operation and all the suits she was making and the jewels and the glitter. I mean, that was exciting to go with you that day too, and be a part of that.
I think one of the interesting things for me in this whole process is this is obviously something I had always wanted to do, just never accomplished, and certainly a bucket list. And I've really enjoyed it and continue. But I remember one time years ago talking to Danielle about entering bodybuilding and some of the sports and activities she's done and staying active in this way. And she had absolutely no interest.
No,
And I don't think you even expected that
no.
she would go into this at any
Mm-mm.
point. So I think sometimes being in that supportive role is what changes people's perspectives
Mm-hmm.
because I know other people that the same thing. They hadn't had an interest in competing, then they knew someone that did, they kind of supported them, it drew their interest. So maybe Danielle, if you could just talk about what it was like transitioning from the supporting role to the participating role.
I mean, I really had no desire, I don't think ever. It was never my thing, but also like looking at it when I was younger, it was just like a very masculine sport in my eyes. Like I was like, I don't want to have all these muscles and look that way. And you know, going to a show and seeing all these women in these beautiful bikinis and they looked great, and realizing that there's levels to it. There's different categories and
And it's so much more than just the muscles.
there's so much more to it. And watching you go through the process, at first I was like, yeah, that ain't my thing. I'll go to the gym, I'll do my workouts and stuff, but I want to eat what I want to eat and I want to do what I want to do. But then being there and seeing the excitement and the show day and stepping in as your assistant coach that first year and running back and forth, it was very exciting. And it kind of brought me to what mom used to do all those years with dance. Like, I cried my eyes out when you went on stage the first time. You can hear it in the video. I was like screaming and crying. I was so excited because I got to see all that hard work on the stage. So then I was like, well, if some of these people can do it that I'm, seeing walk by, why can't I do it?
Mm-hmm.
Why not me? So I decided to just give it a shot. And I was coming out of the police academy that, following year anyway. I would probably be in probably one of the best shapes I've been in at that point. Um, so I figured, a couple of months, throw on some extra muscle and lean out and get up there and just see if it's something I enjoy. And if it is, then, hit the ground running the next season and see if I could do better.
And that's the interesting part with this sport. I find that everybody that does it and makes that leap to get up on the stage, which is a very small amount of people in reality, because it takes a lot to get up there and be judged by people. You're putting it all out there, win, lose, or draw, and you're letting people critique you, and that's hard for people to accept emotionally. And we all go through that. Even though you're in great shape, we talked about body dysmorphia and everything else, and you never think you're at your best. And but one of the things I find is that it's either for most people it's a one and done. It's something they wanted to do. They try it. They did it. They were glad they did it, and they move on. And sometimes it's because of the work that's involved and what really goes on behind the scenes, other than just that show day. Or it's like you get the bug and you want to go back and you want to just keep trying to be better for yourself and see if you can improve and make those little tweaks and adjustments. And that's where the support system is so important. It breaks down if you don't have a good support system. But Barbara, just I wanted to see what your perspective was. Like, it changed for you. It was me up on the stage, and then it went to me and Danielle, competing and kind of doing this as a team. What was your perspective on seeing the difference?
Just was just amazing to just watch, to just watch you and all the hard work that you went through, and seeing how that different category is with the men, and then watching Danielle. To be honest with you, watching Danielle come out and just seeing the beauty and the glitter and the glitz and the hard work and the muscles, and it just was just amazing to me to see my daughter up there shining.
And I think one of the biggest lessons we all learned is that parents, daughters, everything, is that it takes a team. It takes a
Yeah,
village in this
yeah,
sport. You got to have the right coach with the right mindset. You have to be coachable.
yeah.
You have to be willing to listen and understand. You have to learn throughout the process. Even as a support system, you continue to learn. We were just talking about some
Every
things the
day.
other day. I know you've read some books. You've tried to
Mm-hmm.
keep up on the macronutrient stuff. You've offered me some input on what you've learned. So it's a continuing process.
Well, I have one
Yeah.
for you because now that I'm thinking about it, there were 2 years where you watched me from backstage as my teammate competing with me to my 2024 season being in the audience. What's your perspective of seeing me on stage, and also the difference between being back there with me versus in the audience as the support role?
That's a great question. Look, I've just always enjoyed watching you compete at any level, from the time you were a little kid right up to now. It's just as exciting for me when you played soccer to when you're up on that stage. Um, there is a difference watching you, and there's a difference when we're participating as teammates. Because watching you, of course, I'm cheering for you, and I'm out there trying to be your second biggest cheerleader behind mom. But when I'm backstage, I think our mindsets are different. Even though we're focusing on our own goals back there, we're still focusing on the other person. So it's hard to put into words, but there's just a difference when you're working as a team and kind of holding each other together back there. We're both with each other right up to the minute the other one steps out on the stage. We follow each other right there. I think one of the coolest things that we've experienced is so many people, once they realized we were father and daughter, especially at the Mr. America, they started looking for us each year to see our progress. I know this was a challenging year where I didn't make it to the Mr. America, and some people that asked about that. So it's just a different vibe for us. Most disappointing thing for me, I think, was this past year, 2024. We were supposed to do a routine together at a show, and the show got canceled the last minute, but we had really prepared up until then, and we were both, I think, really looking forward to doing that. We put a lot of time and effort into that.
Yeah, but the 2026 season is coming. Um,
That would be one of my goals.
that would be very cool. But I could say from like my perspective, being an only child is very unique, because I feel like we're best friends, all of us. But
Mm-hmm.
also, there's the time when especially when I was younger, that you're the parent, you make the rules, and I didn't like that because you guys were my buddies. But it's really interesting to see like mom go from the dance mom to the bodybuilding mom, and I mean she's the loudest in the room either way. You hear her over everyone. But what was cool to me, you cheered me on in dance and everything, and you were great. It wasn't your thing. You went, you enjoyed it.
Dads do.
But in bodybuilding, Dad, he
Yeah.
doesn't ever really express his pride.
Right.
He is more of the, well, you were all right, but you could have been better type of
Right.
type
Do
of
better
dad.
next time. Yeah.
But I think one of the coolest things was when I did my wellness debut at the Mr. America in 2023. The one expediter backstage was moving everyone, and I heard him go, "Move, move, that's my kid."
Yeah.
And he wanted to get up there. He had his camera out, and I was like, this is pretty cool. Like, he's backstage with me. He gets to be a part of it. And then, I come off, go right around, and I watch him go.
And that's, again, that's part of being the support system and being there. As a competitor, if I can't compete, I'm going to do everything I can to support your competitive opportunities. And I know you've done the same and will continue to do the same for me. But I know we're kind of jumping all over, and that's where this topic takes you, because I would argue that as a support system for bodybuilding, you are all over the place. I mean, Barbara's either out grocery shopping or she's trying to get home to, handle the pets so we can get to the gym or do whatever needs to be done or make sure there's laundry and stuff. And a lot of times those impact, communication in the home or patience, put some pressures on a marriage at times or relationship, we should say, because our relationship is strained from time to time, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just those stressful moments where you're either under stress from work or your schedule, or I am, and we're barking at each other because we're trying to help each other get things done, but may not have gotten sleep, may need to eat.
I mean, I'll be honest, there were many times I was here when I was, out living on my own, and I'd come back and I'd visit for a little bit, and maybe about 10 minutes into the visit, I'd be like, I've had it with you two, I'm out, and I walk out.
Yeah,
but
many times it's stressful.
It's not only stressful for us because we're not eating, but mom's trying her best to be supportive and be like, well, then don't eat it. And it's like easy for you to say, you can go eat it. You have your points and Weight Watchers or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
Totally different Weight Watchers and macros.
Yeah, it's very hard. And I even notice it with Steven. There were many times he came over with his Chipotle bowl and he was eating it across from me at the dining room table, and I'm sitting on the couch giving him like the dirtiest look because I'm like, I would kill to have just some rice, chicken, guac, all of that, but something that I couldn't necessarily have in that moment.
It's it's interesting. In bodybuilding, at least for me, I find it easier sometimes to just have the same things prepared because then I know when I'm putting my meals in or I'm on the move or whatever, 8 ounces of chicken is 8 ounces of chicken, some brown rice or broccoli, carrots, whatever I'm having, when it's all the same things repetitively, I can look at it, know what I'm eating, and move on and not worry about numbers. I know one of the biggest struggles for mom was that she didn't like having
the same thing day after day. Yeah.
So she would want to try to prepare other things, which were challenges for me, and that's where the debates or arguments would come in. And she said, I'm not making 2 things every night. I can't do this. It's too much. And then we would kind of try to find some middle ground here and there. So those are some of the struggles that go on behind the scenes, finding that balance. Barbara, what are some things you might say you've learned about Danielle and I throughout the bodybuilding process?
That you guys have great strength and dedication to achieve this sport. Your days and many days in the gym at 4:30 in the morning every day, and sometimes going to the gym at night for another 2 hours. That you have patience, and that sometimes you don't have patience. There's times where you two of you want to kill each other, and you're fighting and arguing about whatever, and you realize, I'm not going to the gym with her today. I've had it with her. I'm done with him.
So you're basically our referee.
Yes, I'm the referee. I'm a coach. I'm a support system. A chef. Yeah.
You're jack of all trades.
Yes.
Therapist.
Yes.
Now, here's an interesting one. Give this some thought for a second. What have you learned about yourself in this process?
Well, same thing, that I have, great strength and determination. And I've also learned how to, read labels and what nutrition is. And that helps me with my own weight loss journey, that I can understand about what I'm supposed to eat, what I'm not supposed to eat, what's healthy for me. Just that I can keep going too as a support system.
Yeah, the importance of the macronutrients versus just caloric intake.
Right, exactly.
And values and stuff.
Exactly.
So, that's very valuable. So let's talk for a minute about some tips for other couples or families with competitors. What do you think some communication habits are that are helpful, or that you either liked or didn't like and would have preferred were different throughout the process?
Well, I think having good communication among your athletes, as being a support system, is very important. Knowing what it is that you want to eat that week, you don't want to eat that week, what you can have, what you can't have, being there for the many loads of laundry, the gym days, having to take care of things that you may not necessarily take care of in the home. Just understanding that. I think that if you communicate well, you'll be successful in the journey.
And what about any boundaries? You think there are any boundaries that would need to be set?
Yeah, definitely boundaries. I mean, there's, times where, you need to set a boundary and say, I can't do this today. I've just, I'll meal prep tomorrow, and, today just, have a piece of chicken and a couple stalks of broccoli, and, you'll be okay. But, there has to be some boundaries with your athletes.
And probably even setting like rest days. I know Dad gets,
Definitely rest days.
depending on the season, rest days 2 days a week or a day a week or whatever it may be. Planning that around your schedule, because
Yeah.
as much as his schedule is important, so is yours. And
Right, exactly.
kind of figuring out, hey, I work late this day, so I can't be home to make dinner. So, you got to plan your rest day around that or whatever it
Yeah, even
is.
though I work part-time, I work different hours. I work some evenings, some days, and it's just can be difficult for me too at times.
And I think, we turn prep really into a shared challenge for all of us. Everybody takes it part in levels of prep. Where mom may focus on the food. A lot of times I'll pick up the laundry when she can't get to it. We're fortunate now we have that washer dryer combo where you just throw it in and it does everything all at once. So
that makes it easy.
It makes it so much easier. So you learn little things along the way that help make the prep, easier or create less challenges in the process. But I think making it a group effort as best we can. And again, I know, Danielle, you're outside the home now, so you have your own challenges because mom's not always there, but she tries to help from a distance if she can. And Stephen is certainly picking up a lot of that for you.
Yeah, and I know Mom's still even helpful with at the grocery store, always saying, "Hey, do you need anything?" Because it's hard.
Yeah, I'm in
Steven
the
works,
store now. What do you need? Yeah.
He works crazy hours, so a lot of times things do fall on me. But he's been very helpful with keeping me on my gym schedule, whether that's waking me up at 4:30 and saying, "Come on, it's time to go," making sure I have dinner before school, and it's always a dinner that's balanced out with a protein and a vegetable and a little bit of carbs. And he's very cognizant of my meal plan and keeping me on track.
And he's been very communicative too, because I've also been seeing him in the gym with you at 4:30 in the morning, and on some days he was even texting me at that hour saying, "Hey, are you coming to the gym? We're heading over." So he's really kind of taken a good supportive role, I think, to both of us. I think that's great. We were just talking earlier, and I wanted to recap a couple. If we can kind of think back some of the funniest moments we've experienced together. Mom being in a supportive role, and us. I know we talked a little bit about the one experience at the hotel. I don't know, Barbara, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we were sneaking in a microwave in one of Danielle's old high school track bags, big track bag. And we got caught in the elevator by one of the maintenance guys. And he said, you can't bring that in. He noticed that it was peeking out of the bag. And I said, how are we supposed to make our eggs? And how are we supposed to make our oatmeal?
We were all panicked.
We were all panicked. I said, we need this microwave. So he said, if you're going to use the microwave, use it in the bathroom. Put it on the bathroom counter. Use that outlet in the bathroom. But don't say that I said to do this. You never even saw me here.
Yeah, he's like, as far as I'm concerned, I told you to take it back to the car.
Yeah.
And then not only did we sneak that in and use it, but I was in a different wing in a different room. And,
yes.
It was like a cartoon of you with eggs running through the hotel to one side, meeting me for my hair, running back to Dad.
Yep. I need to have my eggs made. Hurry up. I need those eggs. And, I'd be microwaving the eggs and running down the hall with them. And
yeah, that's right. Oatmeal
and rice and the little rice things.
Very different. You were getting all ready in the room. All you had to do was tan, but I had to get to hair on one side, makeup on the other, back for a tan, then to get backstage.
And that's where the stress came in. And I remember that particular day, we were all really just arguing and trying to get through it. And, it all worked out great in the end. But I think that was the day Mom quit 3 times.
Yeah, I quit. I've quit several times over the journeys.
And I remember you and I were at each other because there was just so many challenges going on. And there's little importances of the support system you don't think about. When I was thinking about one of the Mr. America competitions, when during prep week I wound up losing a little more body fat than I thought I would in that short a time, and I had my suit taken in prior to the show to the size that I anticipated being, and then it became really loose. And when I started practice posing backstage, the suit kept slipping down a little more than I was comfortable with, and I didn't want it to be a traction on stage, more so for me. So I was in a panic trying to find, some kind of pin to hold it up or something. That's what I was calling
Oh,
Mom.
whoever thought about bringing safety pins? I never even thought about bringing safety pins.
I remember Mom was asking other people if they had any. We were running around, and I remember you tried using the glue.
Yeah, I had the glue that I had brought because I know prepping, people were telling me things to bring. We tried the glue. And I think the tanning company ultimately had like a little bit better of a glue that they were able to stick you
Yeah,
with. And
I remember it was a challenge because the first time we glued it, it stuck, and then I started doing a couple practice poses, and from twisting and moving, all of a sudden it
Came
started
loose.
slipping down again. So, we've had some of those funny and challenging moments backstage. So, for those people that are in the support role, those are things you might want to consider. Those little things that jump out.
and the countless hours of posing. I know Mom's probably sick of hearing, take another picture.
Oh
Or,
yeah, take
how do I
another
look like
picture.
this? Or, am I doing this right? And she's like, I don't know how you're supposed to be posing.
Oh my
That
God.
picture was terrible. You didn't take that picture good. Let's take another picture. Let's
Well,
pose this way. Let's
To
pose
be fair, half the pictures that you take, your fingers in front of the legs,
Or I cut your
or
head
your
off.
head's off, or it's crooked.
Or she takes them
I'm not a great picture taker, that's for sure.
way too far away, and oh my God, some of our arguments have been over that. She's like, forget it, I'm not taking any more pictures.
I quit.
She'll
All
put
right.
the phone down.
One more that I can think of that's funny. I forget what year it was. I think it was the year I competed the first year.
Yeah, I think so.
And Dad came out on stage. And what was the first thing you said about Dad when he came out on stage?
That he looked angry? Yeah, he looked very angry. It was so cold backstage.
Oh my God, yeah, that one particular year, it was so cold backstage. There was
Yeah, you looked
like a
very mad.
small office or something in the center. I remember backstage.
Yeah, like a little like changing room or something like that.
When I tell you, there had to be 18 or 20 people huddled in there. You couldn't get one more person in there, shoulder to shoulder, just trying to stay warm. And I remember my vision's not always great without my glasses, and I don't like to wear them on stage. And the floor was black. The tape they used was dark, so you couldn't see the tape because they didn't want it to show on video. And I was cold. I couldn't see where I was going, and I was trying so hard to focus. And when you look at the pictures, unfortunately for my stage presence, it was terrible.
Yeah, it was bad because you looked very angry.
I remember Mom's exact words after were, and I paid for these pictures.
Yeah, the angry faces.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. So I think the important takeaway here is that there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes. I think those people that fill those roles are equally, if not as or more important than the athletes, because the athletes couldn't do it without them. There's no doubt Mom's been the backbone for us, and will hopefully continue to be as we go into this year's competition planning and training and scheduling.
Maybe she'll only quit 3 times this year.
Maybe I won't quit at all.
But I think that's one of those things. If you have that support system in place, be thankful for it. Let them know you appreciate them. We certainly appreciate everything you do for us.
Well, it's nice to be appreciated and acknowledged. Thank you.
We may not always say it enough. We may not show it enough. We may be hungry, cranky, pissed off, yelling at each other, and we forget to remind you that it's important to us.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for that. And I think the one thing that keeps it all together for us, it's kind of become a family quote or motto, and I can't take credit for it, but it comes from a good friend of ours, former New York Giant Perry Williams, has said this for many years, and it's become kind of a mantra that we really believe in, and that is believing is achieving. And you focus, you can really accomplish anything.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So as we close out here today, I'll ask if anybody else has anything they want to add.
No, just, again, Dad said it, but our appreciation for you, and
Thank you
all
for
that you
inviting me
do.
on your podcast today.
And
I appreciate you being here.
yeah, I mean, it's good for people to see, the good, bad, and the ugly. We come on here and we try to give advice to everyone from our experiences, and it isn't always sunshine and rainbows. And,
No, it isn't. It isn't a walk in the park at times, that's for sure.
but at the end of the day, we always come back together as a team, and we get through it, and we go on to the next season or the next adventure, and we work together.
Yep.
And just when it all comes together at the end, and you're finally up there, you've been able to get your body to change as best you can to what you were trying to accomplish, and be able to go out there and show that hard work and put it it all out there, knowing that, team, win. And I say win whether you get the placing. When you get on that stage, you won. Just to be able to say that you got yourself conditioned and in enough shape to get up there and be competitive is what it's really about. And once you realize you've made it, just knowing that whole team put you there is just a great feeling.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, agree.
as we always say, believing is achieving, and if we can do it,
Why not you?
Why not you?
why not
Right.
you? Thanks for joining us, and we'll look forward to speaking with you in the next episode.
See you next time.
Bye.